Okay, if you can hear me, let me know in the chat room. If you can hear the sound of my voice, let me know. We'll be starting in just 1 minute. Can you guys hear me? Just let me know if you can hear me. All right, good. All right. Happy holidays, everybody. Got the candles in the window, got my tree up. I'm trying to get some shopping done here and there. It's usually kind of tricky. But I also got some shows to talk about. We got 3 mid-season finales to talk about, actually. And all very interesting episodes, I have to say. And this one will be our last show for a couple weeks until after the holidays. And then I believe we've got Legends of Tomorrow and Agent Carter, I think starting in January, correct me if I'm wrong about that, for the mid-season break. And then S.H.I.E.L.D., Flash, and Arrow will start up again in, I believe, March. But yeah, so this will be our winter finale as well. Happy Festivus, yeah. I'm getting the poll out of the crawl space as soon as I'm done with this. Festivus. Okay, yeah, let's get going. Okay, so The Flash. Mid-season finale, Season 2, Episode 9. Running to Stand Still. The Weather Wizard breaks Captain Cold and the Trickster out of prison so they can kill the Flash. Meanwhile, Harrison Wells makes a deal with Zoom in secret, and Iris's long-lost brother Wally shows up for Christmas, and it's all a little bit awkward. Something you guys should know about me. I love Christmas. Holidays are my favorite time of the year, and I'm a sucker. I'm a big fat sucker for Christmas-themed episodes. So maybe I was kind of predisposed to like this one, but I think I would have liked it for the most part, even if Christmas hadn't been a factor. When the teaser is Harrison Wells running from Zoom catching him, and instead of killing him, he just says, "Merry Christmas." I was like, oh yeah, this one is for me. This is gonna be great. There was a lot of good stuff in this one, actually. After quite a few episodes where it felt like the writers were just trying to manufacture drama where none really existed, this time they got it right for the most part. All this stuff with Iris and Joe talking about Wally felt right. It was affecting, well acted. It wasn't cheesy or melodramatic like CW shows can often be. And I think this was easily some of the better stuff they've given Iris to do. Probably because it had nothing to do with her being a love interest for someone. Just saying. And knowing that it's dealing with the introduction of the future Kid Flash doesn't hurt either. Also, the stuff with Patty was really nice. I didn't think they'd resolve the subplot with her and the Weather Wizard so soon, but I was happy they did. Was it stupid of her to try to face him alone? Absolutely. But you understand why she did it. Because she really doesn't see clearly when it comes to the man that killed her father. So you buy it, and you buy why she would want to kill him at the end. It also gives us 2 really good scenes with her in The Flash where she shows him all of her emotional baggage. I really like that, too. But ironically, the most enjoyable stuff about the episode was not about the Weather Wizard at all. I really liked... I thought the stuff with Captain Cold was really good. As time goes on, we're getting a clearer picture of him. He's a criminal, but he has kind of a code of honor that he can't really ignore, try as he might. But he's still a very morally great person. I love that he actually warned Barry about what the others were going to do, because he felt like he owed Barry one. and then disappeared. In the climax, I thought, oh, well, of course, Cold is going to show up and save Barry. That's obvious. But he didn't. He never showed up. Because he feels like he owes Barry enough to warn him, but not enough to save his life. I just thought that was a really cool touch. To have him actually not show up at the end. But as nice as that was, the award for Best Villain has to go to the Trickster. Mark Hamill is back and he is fucking glorious. He's manic and crazy and completely over the top, and somehow he makes it all work. Because he's just so much fucking fun to watch. Like the exploding dreidels trap. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. And with any other villain, you'd just be rolling your eyes and laughing at how stupid it is. But Mark Hamill is so fucking delightful as the Trickster that you just accept it. And it also leads to a very rare occurrence on this show. Barry finding himself in a tight spot and actually using his powers intelligently to get out of it. Using the wind thing to propel him and Patty out of the building, that was smart. I was shocked. Shocked! I mean, sure, he probably could have just run right through, run them out of there and gotten away before the explosions went off, but this works too. This was a very rare and appreciated moment of Barry actually using his brain, and it was great. But then it turned out to be a fluke, because they ruined it a few scenes later. Barry has the wand. He knows how to take Weather Wizard down. He speeds up to the top of the building to confront him, sneaks up on him from behind, and really, Barry could have just speeded over to him and knocked him out right there. Weather Wizard had his back to Barry, didn't even know he was there. I mean, there didn't even have to be a fight, really. I mean, sure, he had the exploding presence thing rigged up, but Barry didn't know that at the time. As far as Barry knew, he could have ended this instantly, but instead he chose to talk to Weather Wizard instead. Because that's always worked out so well for him in the past. Why the hell does Barry always do this? I mean, you'd think he would have learned his lesson by now. Look what happens when they get rid of the bombs. Look at this. Barry super speeds over to Weather Wizard, instantly defeats him, and then the whole fight is over in like half a second. Why didn't he just do that before? It's little details like that prevent me from fully embracing this show. Realistically, he should be able to win every fight like that. And they never let him do it. And the default excuse for why he doesn't do it is because he acts like an idiot. And that's not the end of the stupid either, because while Barry was letting Weather Wizard lay into him, Team Flash is getting rid of the Christmas present bombs by throwing them into a portal. By throwing one of them into a portal, rather, which then somehow sucks all the other bombs into it because of magnets or something. You try figuring that one out, because that made no goddamn sense to me at all. Needless to say, I'm pretty sure that's not how magnets work. Thankfully, once those missteps are over, we get back to the really good stuff. Barry trying to forgive Wells. Another good scene right there. Right when Wells is secretly making a deal with Zoom. That's cool. I kind of wish they weren't going the Wells is working against Barry route again, but at least he's doing it for sympathetic reasons. And then the nice scene at the end with Team Flash and their friends having a nice Christmas party. It was sweet, and again, I'm kind of a sucker for that stuff. I do have two small nitpicks. Suddenly, Jay Garrick is helping the Team Flash with stuff again. So, I guess him deciding not to help them as long as they were working with Wells to take down Zoom was just resolved off camera somehow. And more annoyingly, so was Joe talking to his ex-wife about Wally. It's like they had all this build-up, all these scenes about Wally where everyone else is talking about him, and when Joe actually confronts Francine about this, the most important part of all, we don't get to see it. I understand the time constraints, but of all the scenes to cut, good lord. However, despite the stupid parts, This was still a really good episode, I thought. I would argue this might have been the most enjoyable episode of The Flash this season so far, even though there were still issues. The drama worked, the stuff with Cold worked, the Trickster was awesome. You throw in a little bit of Christmas stuff on top of that, and I'm pretty happy. Barry still needs to stop acting like a damn idiot, but at least they gave him a smart moment this week to balance that out. Okay. And I had a bunch of Twitter questions this week. So bear with me here 1 second. Hang on. Okay. This is from 18 Zach. The Flash didn't feel like a mid-season finale, more like a Lifetime movie junk besides Zoom and hearing the Joker's voice. You may have a point that they were veering a little bit in that direction, I guess, but... And it's Christmas! I mean, if ever there's a time of the year when that sort of stuff is is more appropriate than it would be normally, I mean, it would be Christmas time. I mean, I was okay with it. I mean, they're talking about introducing Wally West here. I was pretty accepting of that. Okay, I said, wait, Joe talked to Francine about Wally off camera. Of all the scenes to cut, Pedro Lunian says, dumb move. Yeah, I agree. Barry, you could have just stopped Weather Wizard like that 10 minutes ago and avoided the whole beating. At Pedro Lunian says, it wouldn't be Barry doing the smart thing. No, it would not, would it? Easily some of the better stuff they've done with Iris, probably because it had nothing to do with her being a love interest. At Pedro Lunian says, Iris is a great sister to Barry. Could be for Wally. That's her role, at least for now. Yeah. When they focus on her being, like, acting in a sisterly way, that's when her character tends to work the best for me. It's when they try making her romantic when stuff goes off the rail a bit. Elsa Morty says, I like all the characters, and yet the show doesn't work for me as much as I wish it would. Too many dumb stuff, and it's too cartoonish for my taste. Not enough time is spent on character development, good storytelling, and good plot. Character development is flawed sometimes, I would agree with that. Mainly Barry, I want to see him grow more as a person. I want to see him learn from his mistakes, and it doesn't feel like... it doesn't feel like there's a lot of learning from his mistakes going around. So yeah. Let's see. Shield in March, Flash and Arrow in late January. Huh. So will Legends of Tomorrow be running concurrently with them then? Huh. I have to check. The Save Me one. Something to be realized. If Harry went to the Christmas dinner like Barry asked, wouldn't Patty have started to put the pieces together? Yeah. She already knows about him, though. Of course, she didn't tell Barry that. Come to think of it, they didn't address that at all this week. Yeah, that's another weird thing to cut out. I mean, Patty's whole reaction to finding out that Harrison Wells is alive and Joe and Barry's friends know about it, they didn't address that at all. Weird. Huh. Magpie's Nest Productions. I love Patty. She's so cute. I like her too. She's really nice. I hope she sticks around. The Save Me one. Flash had the weakest of the mid-season finales, in my opinion. S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, and even Gotham went all out, but with The Flash, it could have been just any other episode. Yeah, I think with Flash, they opted to do a Christmas episode instead of a winter finale episode that kind of culminates all the storylines of the season so far. I'm fine with that. Like I said, I'm a sucker for the Christmas stuff. Besides, it was nice to have at least one of the shows doing a traditional Christmas episode. And it seems like all the arc stories for the season are kind of on a slow burn anyway. So there may not have been a lot of culminating to do yet. If they were going to culminate something, I would suggest maybe having Barry tell Patty that he's the Flash. And that probably would have worked, considering she learned about Harrison Wells last week. But yeah, I would agree that this was probably the weakest in that sense, and that it didn't really feel like this was what they were building to. It was just another episode, but it was a Christmas episode, and so I think you're allowed a certain number of those. Magpie, I think the trickster will show up anytime a Star Wars movie is coming out. He'll show up. Well, I would hope so. Yeah, I mean that's smart, and you get free publicity right there. I just liked hearing the toned down Joker from Sean Simon. I love the Joker voice. I never get tired of that. That gaming asshole. I wouldn't say he used his powers intelligently, considering the end of the episode is founded on the idea that he has to use magic magnetism to stop the bombs. Oh no, that part was stupid. I thought he used his powers intelligently in that he was able to get out of the exploding dreidel trap without calling for help or saying, I don't know what to do. Somebody, Cisco, invent a gadget that gets me out of this. No, he used his powers in a creative way, and he got himself and Patty out of danger. It's that simple, really. Doesn't seem like much, but Barry is not always capable of this. In fact, most of the time he's not capable of this. Thought it deserved to be mentioned. Costaledius, I mentioned that the trickster is too much like the Joker. You said that's what's wrong with that. I get your point. Mark Hamill is brilliant as both characters. Yeah, it's just... Okay, is he kind of channeling the Joker from Batman the Animated Series? To a large extent, yeah, but I don't see anything wrong with that. He's just so much fucking fun to watch. That gaming asshole. Magnets, how do they work? I don't know. Ask the Insane Clown Posse. Alright, Zach Harris just got home. Okay, we're all doing well. Oh, I am anyway. Magpie. Yeah, the magnet thing was the contrived way out. I did not understand why they did that. It's like, well, you throw one bomb in there and it sucks all the other bombs in there. Wouldn't it? If it's magnets, wouldn't it suck in anything made of metal? That shit gave me a headache. Magpie, I think Flash has a technobabble problem. They do get a little bit Star Trek in that capacity at times, where they just kind of technobabble themselves out of a certain situation. I would like to see them tone that down somewhat, because they're really just making this shit up as they go along, and if it was rooted in something a little bit more plausible, I think it would work better for me. That gaming asshole. Flash has the same problem as Star Trek. The writers are literate enough in science to know certain words, but not what they mean or what context they're used in. For example, they know what a magnet is, but not worryingly what magnets are, or that bombs are not inherently magnetic. No comment necessary. Yeah, Voyager was the worst sinner. Yeah. That gaming asshole. Or they know that Mach 2 is fast, but they don't know what the difference between fast and FTL is, or how it pertains to time and space. And the less said about the spinning black holes that can be destroyed with nuclear weapons without releasing multiple suns worth of energy, and apparently lack of accretion disks entirely, the better. Oh, and then there's the fact that traveling superhumanly fast requires more oxygen as opposed to, energy or mass or fuel, because fuck thermodynamics, am I right? At this point, I'm done even worrying about writing on the Flash. There are, pun intended, flashes of brilliance, but otherwise it's approaching the level of Season 1 Gotham. Oh, I wouldn't. Wow. I wouldn't go that far. I would appreciate it if they toned down the technobabble, though. Yeah, absolutely. Costaledius, I wonder how Wally West becomes Kid Flash on the show. In the comics, he's Kid Flash, and when Barry dies, becomes one with the Speed Force. In the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline, he becomes the Flash. Yeah, I guess he's becoming Kid Flash at some point. I'm not sure. Are they going to recreate the particle accelerator accident somehow? I don't know. I am looking forward to seeing that though, because I grew up on the Justice League animated series where they used the Wally West Flash. So um, I am looking forward to him getting powers. Let's see. Flash is back on January 19th. Arrow January 20th. Legends of Tomorrow is the 21st. Oh boy. So they're running concurrently then. Oh, I thought Flash and Arrow would be off longer than that. Huh. Okay. Magpie, they brought back Mark fucking Hamill. What more do you want? Nothing. I'm good. He made the episode. Uh, what was with the Gotham comment? Bite me, leave the show alone. Yeah, MJ is very defensive of Gotham. He keeps trying to get me to check it out again, and I keep refusing. Don't know if I'm going to bend on that one. Okay. Moving on. Oh, wait, hold on. The bomb thing wasn't a big thing after they froze light beams. Hence, what is the... Yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard for to top that time they froze light beams. I just... Wow. I mean... They've done some stupid stuff on this show. That one was near the top. Anywho. Arrow. Season... Oh, hold on. 1 second. Just want to check. I was getting a... Oh, yeah. Twitter questions still coming in. 1 second. Sorry. Wow, I have never had so many Twitter questions for a show before. Okay. Sorry. Arrow, Season 4, Episode 9, Dark Waters. Damien Dark finally makes his move on Oliver. Oliver tries to keep everyone safe, but that doesn't go very well. He manages to pop the question to Felicity just in time for Dark's assassins to riddle their limo with bullets, and Felicity isn't looking so good by the end of the episode. I have a couple nitpicks here. Number 1, in the opening scene, Oliver's Clean Up the Bay rally is attacked by a drone with a machine gun. Within about 30 seconds, Felicity has hacked into the drone with her tablet and powered it down remotely. I buy that about as much as I did that time she hacked into construction equipment. I mean, yeah, Felicity's good, but no one's that good. Would that thing even have... Would the drone even be connected to the internet? How do you hack into it with a fucking tablet? 2. After his friends are kidnapped, Oliver starts hunting the ghosts and questioning them. I'm not sure why he was bothering. Aren't the ghosts all on that mind control drug that makes them totally subservient to Damien? I know Oliver has no other leads, but they probably wouldn't have talked even if they wanted to. And, no surprise, that turns up nothing. And 3, when they get one of the ghosts' phones, they say they can't track it without Felicity. And they never even think of asking Curtis to do it. Even though they took Curtis on a mission with them just recently. Even though he'd probably be more than happy to do it for them. I don't know why that didn't cross their minds. Whatever. Those quibbles aside, though, this episode was really good. It really drove home what a great villain Damien Dark is. This was probably his probably his best episode so far. And proving what an effective villain he is. Way better than last year when Oliver was thinking 2 steps ahead of Ra's al Ghul for like the last third of the season. No, Damien's really threatening. And he's dangerous enough to give Oliver a big hurdle to overcome. Every time Oliver lets his guard down this week, there's Damien. Like a shark in the water. That's a good bad guy right there. But what made this episode work so well was the structuring of it. How it lured the audience into a false sense of security, and every time the viewers and the characters are relaxed, the show pulls the rug out. And they did about as good a job as you can of making you think they're going to kill someone without actually going through with it. You know, first there's the tease that Felicity, Dig, and Thea will all be killed in the gas chamber. Obviously, they weren't going to kill all 3 of them. Obviously. But when they got out of that, you figured, oh, the crisis was over for now. But that was all by design. You just think the crisis is over, so you don't see it coming when the real bad thing happens at the end. You don't believe they'd kill all 3 of them, but killing just one of them, that's something the show has done plenty of times before. So with that, you can suspend your disbelief. Well, I couldn't, but other people probably could. That was really a well-done twist there. They did the same thing last season. You're trying to make you believe they were going to kill the whole supporting cast. Didn't work at all. This was them doing it right. As was the rescue. I thought it was going to be Laurel doing the rescue all by herself. Like, how's that going to work? But when Malcolm Merlyn shows up dressed as the Green Arrow for a second, I was like, wait, what? Who is that? Is that Roy? I thought it was Roy at first. I didn't consider Malcolm because he hadn't been dressed for a fight before then. That was really clever. I thought that worked out great. Also great was the build-up to the attack on Felicity. It gets... Yeah, admittedly, it does get a little soapy with the talk of the proposal, but, you know, it's a proposal. It's supposed to be kind of soapy. That's allowed. And they had enough stuff with Laurel and her dad as well that I figured, well, something bad is going to happen to one of them, but I wasn't entirely sure which one. And, of course, it's really hard not to love a sequence where Damien Dark is enjoying a nice Christmas with his family that we didn't know he had. Intercut with assassins riddling Oliver and Felicity's limo with machine gun bullets, while peaceful Christmas Carol music plays over the soundtrack. That's awesome. And then there's the cliffhanger. This was not poorly done or anything. I just didn't believe it. Frankly, they overplayed their hand when they showed the clip of the graveyard scene in the Previously On segment. Right then, I knew nobody was going to die. I knew it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that scene was supposed to take place like 6 months in the future. And it's only been 3 months since the events of the premiere took place. So we know that big death is not happening yet. And if it were, I really doubt they'd want us to see it coming like that. I really doubt they'd telegraph it so much. So then they overplayed their hand again with the trailer for the second half of the season. They were trying so hard to make it look like Felicity is going to die, make us think that she's that she's the one that they were hinting at in the premiere, that it all feels like misdirection to me. I just don't think it's going to happen. She's way too popular a character, for one. If they did kill her, the fan backlash would be so huge that it wouldn't even be worth doing. I think they know that. No. If they ever kill Felicity, it'll be near the end of the season, near the end of the series, where they know they're going off the air anyway, so it doesn't matter. They could always surprise me, but I'm sticking with my theory. I think the grave in the flash forward was Felicity's, but they faked her death and she's still alive. Having said that, most viewers don't examine this stuff as closely as I do, so for the majority of the audience, I'm guessing this was really effective. This was a very good winter finale for Arrow. The twists were all well done. I'm really digging Damien as the big bad. The Felicity cliffhanger didn't exactly work for me, but like I said, they did everything they could to make you think they were going to kill someone without actually killing someone. So that was nicely done, Arrow. I like this one a lot. Excuse me. Wow, still coming. Okay. All right. See. Arrow questions from Twitter. Coastal Edius says, I still prescribe to the theory that Felicity faked her death and went into hiding. Yeah, that's what I'm going with, too. You know, the show has, I don't want to say compromised or backed off its original game plan or mission statement or philosophy about killing characters or whatever. They definitely softened on that. When it first started, Arrow was the kind of earned itself a reputation as being the show that was really brutal and unforgiving, and it really pulled no punches when it came to killing off major characters. And they kept that up long enough to the point where people kind of expected it, and expected them to keep topping themselves, and the only way they could keep topping themselves is to keep killing people. And now it's at a point where if they don't kill someone, it almost feels like they're going easy on the audience, and like they're going soft. And they've kind of put themselves in a tough position here, because now they're not killing people so much as bringing them back. They killed Sarah, brought her back, almost killed Thea, brought her back, and now they're teasing this big death, and I just don't think they're going to do it. They might, but if it's Felicity as they're teasing it is, there's no way. No, I just don't think they're going to go through with it. I don't buy it. Let's see. At Pedrolunian says, it won't be Felicity. If it was, they wouldn't do this with her, but with Thea or John. Yeah, more or less. I think they might tease somebody else, like someone else's death if it was gonna be her. I said stuff like this is why Oliver. I said stuff like this is why Oliver is smart to keep his son a secret. The fewer people who know about that kid, the safer he'll be. Ed Pedrolunian says, but sooner or later he's going to tell Felicity. Possibly. I still argue that he shouldn't tell a damn person. He shouldn't tell anyone. I mean, if Felicity knows, and God forbid, she gets kidnapped again, or tortured, or whatever for information about Oliver, I mean, she could end up telling somebody. If she can't tell what she doesn't know. I say until the Damien Dark thing is resolved, Oliver shouldn't tell anyone. Not Thea, Dig, not Felicity, not anybody. Let's see. I said, I'm not buying it. The big death doesn't happen for another 3 months. Good cliffhanger, though. At Pedrolunian says, I'm starting to wonder if it's a real death or some trick to fool Dark. I'm definitely in the camp that it's a trick. I'm getting a really weird feeling about that whole situation. It feels like a swerve to me. It really does. If Malcolm finds out that Dark has a family, they're dead. Possibly. I would think maybe if he wants to stay in Thea's... If he wants to keep Thea... Stay on Thea's good side, rather, he wouldn't go around killing an innocent kid. Or her mother. I mean, Thea knows what it's like to lose her mother. Now, if he did kill them, he probably wouldn't tell Thea about it. To be continued. Let's see. Elsa Morty, I'm glad we're done with the setting up for Legends of Tomorrow. Season 4B, that Season 4B will deal with the major plot and the characters. Uh, Still not interested with the FB. FB? I'm blanking on that. When they tie in with the main story, the episode and the show still feel repetitive and deja vu. The mid-season finale left us on a great cliffhanger. Felicity is not going anywhere, but it was time to shake things up. And gives Oliver a new purpose. Damien made it personal, plus it's time we see more of Felicity's story. Let's see, how do you feel about the introduction of magic into the show? For me, ironically, it takes the magic out of the show. I take this one at a time. I think we're mostly... The setup for Legends of Tomorrow is mostly done now. And I'm glad about that. I think all the setup was starting to impact the narrative. I'm looking forward to them refocusing on that now. I'm not sure what else they can really do to set it up. So they should be good with that. I expect we'll get a more tightly focused story from this point on. The flashbacks. Not interested in the flashbacks when they tie into the main story. The episode feels repetitive. I'm losing interest in the flashbacks too, to be honest. I think for the first 2 seasons they served a purpose, but they it just felt like they were not really clicking anymore in the 3rd season, and now it's like, okay, it's cool that he lost the wig. And he's got short hair now, okay, but I mean, they don't feel like they're really going anywhere or progressing the story that much anymore. So I'm totally with you on the flashbacks. Okay, Elsa Morty is not buying the Felicity cliffhanger either. Yeah, Felicity isn't going anywhere. It could shake the status quo up, though. Give some new stuff for Felicity to do, at least. That could be interesting. Damien did make it personal here. So we could be seeing a story about maybe Oliver going on a warpath again, or having to resist the urge to kill. Of course, may make an exception in Damien's case. How do I feel about the introduction of magic into the show? I'm okay with it. I think the introduction of more comic book type elements has been gradual enough that I accept it. I think season 1 was like a straight up crime story, and season 2 we had the introduction of quasi superpower type stuff with like the Mirakuru soldiers, and then we have technology based heroes in season 3, and now it's magic. I can accept it. If they'd sprung this on us in season 1, I would have been like, no, it's too much, too soon. I don't buy it. No, I think it's okay. They've been using it in moderation enough that I can accept it. Let's see. Okay. Right. Oh. We Bear 50, 3 nights, 3 DC shows. Oh, boy. That giving asshole. Oh, Christ, I forgot about the frozen light beams. Oh, dude, don't even get me started on the frozen light beams. That was just... I don't know what they were thinking with that. Magpie, I think the reason for the... Problems? I think the reason for the problems brought up in TGAH is the combination of Speed Force And the Flash's new physio... physio... Okay. We Bear 50, the cliffhanger was perfect. It was a very good cliffhanger. Um, like I said, I don't think they could have done a much better job of teasing that they would kill someone. You know, the next step would be to actually kill her. I don't think they're going to do that. But for teasing it, they did a really good job. The Save Me one. Anyone notice Dark has an aha moment when he saw Thea? When he saw Thea as he was walking up to Oliver. No. Didn't notice that. Now we saw him trying to use magic on her as Speedy, and it didn't work. So it's possible he could have recognized her, I guess. I'd have to rewatch it to see. I didn't notice that moment, no. Coastaladius, the ghosts, can you say Hail Hydra? 4 nights if you count Supergirl on the CPS. I don't know, I've been meaning to give Supergirl another try. I wanted to see the Livewire episode, because I heard she was on it, and I remember her from the old animated series, Superman animated series. So I might try that. I watched a couple clips here, but nothing that really grabbed my attention. Coastal Ladies, Damian Dark or Slade Wilson? I'm going to say Slade Wilson for now, just because we've had less than we've had less than one season of Damian, and Slade was really the best villain they've done on the show up until this point. So he's kind of the benchmark. But Damian's... I think Damian could be in the running when the season's over. Magpie thinks Felicity will live and Thea will die. Anything's possible. Save Me one. I have doubts that Felicity is the one in the grave. They're making it way too obvious. Oh, hell yeah. I just don't think it's going to happen. Could be someone else's grave, but yeah, they're teasing Felicity so much that it's just, yeah. It all feels like a swerve. Sean Simon, Merlin was awesome as always. Yeah, I really dug that swerve when he dressed up as the Green Arrow. I really liked that. Let's see, the Save Me one. What if that shark turns into King Shark after the particle accelerator blows up? I don't know. The impression I got is that King Shark was from another dimension. From one of the other worlds that was brought there by Zoom. That gaming asshole. Even if it takes place 6 months from now, that doesn't mean the funeral did. They gave no indication as to when this person died. The implication is that the funeral had been just recently. Like earlier that day, possibly. Because Oliver was in a suit. And then Barry shows up in a suit and he says, I'm sorry, I missed the funeral. The implication was that the funeral had happened, like, probably earlier that day. And if this was 3 months after the funeral, why would Barry just be showing up now? You know? And the Save Me one, they could be going by TV time. Not so. There was actually a line, I think it was from Felicity in this episode that said, Oliver was going to propose 3 months ago. So the premiere took place in Arrow time 3 months ago. Let's see. The gaming TGA that Barry missed the funeral, so he says, but then again, that doesn't imply it happened recently, only that he was late for a funeral at some point. I think the implication was that it was just recently, but whatever. If the writers are brave, and I think the Arrow writers are brave enough, they might not care one way or another about backlash on Tumblr. The shock would be worth it from their standpoint. Granted, it's not just Tumblr, though. No, Felicity is popular enough that I think a lot of people would probably stop watching if they killed her off. She's as popular as any character not named Green Arrow on that show. She really is. And that character's kind of taken on a life of its own. I mean, they changed the comics to include her, and as part of Oliver's status quo in the comics. I mean, she's become really big and really important. No, I wouldn't put it past them to kill her, but I think it would be a really unwise decision. Because honestly, I think people would stop watching. Magpie, not that I think they would kill Felicity, but to play devil's advocate, she could be just out of commission for a few months. And then die. That's true. If they were going to do it, I mean, she could be like in a coma for 3 weeks and then not come out of it, or there could be another attack. That's possible. TGA, I have a feeling that should Felicity die, and I believe she will, they'll also reveal that she was with child when she did. Maybe even that she lost the baby from that ambush we saw last episode. I think you're reaching a little bit here, man. You're the one who says that the superheroes shouldn't have regular love interests. Are you sure this isn't just what you want to see happen? Anything's possible, but again, I'm not buying it. I don't think they're going in that direction. That's how I'd write it. Again, backlash is irrelevant. The real fans won't leave just because their favorite character died. If anything, it'll make them cling to the rest even more. Look at Game of Thrones. Well, Game of Thrones and Arrow are not exactly the same thing. I don't think the fan bases are the same. With Game of Thrones, the primary fan base comes from the books, who have come to expect, the writers to be kind of bloodthirsty. With Arrow, it's not exactly catering to the same audience. It's more of a fanboy, fangirl type of thing. And those people get attached to characters. They're not happy when they lose them. That's... Magpie. Really, TGAH? Why not have her mom die too? Sean Simon, I thought the episode was awesome. Really surprised the CW allowed the Jewish and Nazis and gas chambers. That's intense for the CW. I don't know, this was nowhere near the darkest thing CW has done. Have you seen The 100? That show gets fucking dark. I think a lot of us expect certain things from CW shows, but they've got a pretty high tolerance. I mean, when they allow their shows to get away with a lot of stuff, most of their shows don't go to those places, but they are allowed. I mean, The 100 does some pretty shockingly violent stuff that I couldn't believe. I think in season 2 there was a scene where one woman has her arm ripped off and she's just walking around with with this bloody stump. I was like, this is some HBO level shit. I can't believe they're getting away with this in the CW. Yeah. Let's see. NJ, I'm sorry, but I'm losing interest in Arrow. I still watch it, but from the early seasons, the show does not feel the same. I prefer the days of Arrow, Oliver, Secret, and him battling against it. Okay. Have you finished season 2? Last time we talked about that, I think you were... I don't know if you were on season 2 yet. If you're losing interest during season 2, wow, I'm not sure how to respond to that. Let's see. Coach Ladius, don't be surprised if Captain Lance or Connor Well, the kid's name is William. I don't know if Connor Hawk is a thing yet. I don't know. Captain Lance, Quentin Lance was one of my early picks. I figured if they were gonna kill someone, I think he would be like one of the last people they could kill off without affecting the main status quo that much. Um, could they kill Oliver's son? Yeah, well, I wouldn't put it past them. But again, if the kid was dead, I think the mom would probably be there with Oliver, unless she's dead too. Moms bite the dust at the end of the season. Let's see. Yeah, that might be a good out. Connor's mom. The kid's name is William, though. He's not Connor Hawk. Unless they plan on changing his name. TGA, Magpie, well, frankly, the mom is around because she has a story to tell all her own about who Felicity's dad is. Once that's done, it's an easy death that won't hurt the overall story arc. Yeah, I could see them killing Felicity's mom. I don't know if they will. They seem to really like her. I could see it being done, though, definitely. Let's see. Magpie, Felicity's dad may be the villain next season. Possibly. I believe they plan on introducing him this season. I'm just glad it looks like it won't be Damien Dark. Because that would have been really cliched and obvious. That gaming asshole. Also, Felicity's mom is, for no discernible reason, hotter than Felicity, so she stays as long as possible in the mirror universe where I write Arrow. Okay, I disagree with that. I mean, she's an attractive older woman. I'd still take Felicity. I think it's the glasses. Girls in glasses are hot. I'm sorry. I figure Felicity's dad is Dr. Shiva, this deformed little dwarf mad scientist with a smoking hot wife, go figure, and hot airhead daughter who is good. Okay? I don't know who that is, but I'll take your word for it. Okay, now we have a debate going about who is hotter, Felicity or her mom. I'll choose Felicity, but you guys hash that out between yourselves. Magpie, I think about it. Thea's bloodlust starts getting out of control, and she chooses to sacrifice herself. And that could happen, I guess. It seems like she's starting to get a handle on it, though. TGA. Speaking of, I love how Thea yells out, "Is that my dad? OMG," when they're trying to trick Damien Dark. What the fuck, Thea? Yeah, that wasn't too smart on her part. But as far as everyone knows, her father's dead, and Malcolm is capable of protecting himself. So plus he's supposed to be dead too. So. Sean Simon, Arrow would go Daredevil level if she died and his daughter died. Talking about if, yeah. I wonder if they'd really go that dark, like Netflix dark. I don't know. I don't TGA. I don't like heroes having girlfriends because stuff like that can happen. I don't want it to. I think part of the reason they have girlfriends is because stuff like that happens, because it's a good source of drama. I don't want it to end women in refrigerators, keep them from moving in with the hero, and they won't end up in one. That being said, if you must do it, and it'd break everyone's little heart to not have Felicity around, her only value is as a corpse or a hostage. Sorry, not sorry. Everyone threw a fit when Roy Harper's daughter died in Cry for Justice. No one questioned why he needed an infant in such a dangerous line of work to begin with. That's like a Navy SEAL bringing his daughter to Iraq and then being upset when she gets gutted by ISIS. What did you think would happen, Roy? Wow, this just took a dark turn. NJ, I'm towards the end of Season 3 now. I just prefer Oliver's Secret. Gonna see how I feel about Season 4. Season 4 has been better than Season 3. You know, Season 3 was the weakest so far. If you're losing interest during Season 3, that is understandable. Let's see. Thea needs to die. Team Arrow is so full. I think it's the same size it was last season, just with different members. Unless for some reason they kill Laurel. I don't know. Honestly, Laurel's been pretty good this season so far. I mean, she's had her moments of... Yeah, there have been moments of Season 2 Laurel in there, but for the most part, she's been pretty good. Sean Simon, it was awesome when Merlin cackled Laurel's costume in a bondage outfit. Well, she is wearing a lot of black leather. Guess she was kind of asking for someone to make a joke about that at some point. Okay. Alright. Anything else come in from Twitter? Nope, we're good. Okay. Okay, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 10, Maveth. Damn. Sorry. The team storms Hydra's castle to commandeer the portal and rescue a bunch of captive Inhumans. That doesn't go well. Meanwhile, on Planet Death, Coulson and Ward have their final showdown, and Fitz finally meets Space Asshole and finds something that he did not expect. A more low-key finale than I thought we'd get here, which surprised me at first. I'll say this. I was a little bit bummed out that there wasn't more Secret Warriors action. What we got was good. You know, Lincoln taking out the telekinetic, Joey saving Daisy. Joey is bulletproof! That was a really cool moment. Guys, look at that, I'm bulletproof! That was really cool. And there was that gorgeous sequence where they destroy the castle with the missiles from the plane. Really impressive work there, but I thought there would be more superpowered action in the castle. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that that was not what this was really about. The story hadn't been building up, at least this particular arc, like the Season 3A arc, hadn't been building up to some huge explosive slam bang thing. The first half of the season was really about culminating two really intimate personal conflicts between Coulson and Ward and Fitz and the other man. That's where the real meat of this story was, and may I say, it was very refreshing to have this winter finale really not be about Daisy all that much, after most of Season 2 was all about Daisy. I mean, you know, I like Daisy as much as anyone, but she was really focused on a lot last season. But they spread the wealth in terms of screen time for several different characters here, and in my opinion, the episode's a lot better for it. I mean, this is a really big cast they've got here. And almost every character gets a moment to shine in this episode. I have to give attention to Mac, though. This was cool. This was really cool to see him, like shining as acting director. He didn't want the job, but he takes to it. He has a good plan, he gives orders well, and he acts like someone that people would want to follow by inspiring his team and being selfless. Staying behind where all the danger is while ordering everyone else to get back to the plane where it's safe. If I'm going into battle, Mac is the kind of guy I want as my CO. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Mac does such a great job in charge, while at the same time Coulson is descending into morally gray territory, crossing lines that maybe he shouldn't be crossing. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mac stays acting director for a while. And you'll get no complaints from me if that's the case. So personally, for me, the Mac storyline was the coolest stuff to happen on on Earth. Then we cut over to Planet Death, and things get weird. Again, it's a surprisingly low-key situation here. Ward's trying to find Hydra's evil inhuman overlord, Fitz is trying to find Space Asshole, and Coulson is trying to find Ward so he can put a bullet in the bastard's head, or cave in his chest cavity with his bare hands, as it were. And there's no really huge, epic visual effects sequence or action sequence, really. It's all kept very intimate. A lot of it is just people talking. And that worked in this case because they were giving the interpersonal payoff to a lot of things here that they'd been playing up this season. Ward showing how off the reservation he's become. How seeing the giant Hydra symbol carved in stone made him think that he's finally a part of something really big. When in previous seasons he was not thinking, he was thinking in really small terms, thinking selfishly. How he just wanted a father figure, and he was not really seeing the bigger picture. Now that he is, and you see, oh well, Ward could be like horrifyingly dangerous if this was allowed to continue. So if we're gonna put him down, it's got to be now. And Coulson being forced to realize that him and Ward might not be as different as he thought. Fitz trying to swallow his feelings and rescue Space Asshole, despite the situation with Gemma really tearing him up, and then that going to hell. And the way these things play out is interesting because it looks like a victory for Coulson and Fitz, but it doesn't really feel like one because there was a price paid in both situations, and it's all kind of bittersweet. Coulson finally ends Ward, giving closure to an arc that started at the very beginning of the series, really. But in doing so, he has to go to a place that he's never gone before. Coulson had won the fight. Ward was defenseless at that point. I mean, Phil could have just left him there, and that would have been the end of it. And season 2 Coulson probably would have just left him there. But instead, he went pretty dark, and he murdered Ward in revenge. This was an ugly turn for Coulson. He basically performed an execution. Now, did Ward have that coming? Absolutely. But Coulson's an idealistic guy. This is not something that he would ever do under normal circumstances. In his mind, what he did betrays what he always believed S.H.I.E.L.D. stood for. But in that moment, he just didn't care. Ward pushed Coulson to a place where he chose to compromise his own ethics out of revenge, and that's not a good thing. The show frames it as not being a good thing. And then the final dick punch shows us that this directly caused Ward to become an even greater threat than ever. Now he literally has the power to threaten the safety of the entire world. We don't know if there's anything left of Ward in there, but he's ascended to uber big bad status now, or the death entity in his body has. And then we have Fitz, who, as they approach the portal site, realizes that Space Asshole is actually a really huge asshole. So after he tried to suck it up, after he tried to put his feelings aside and do everything he could to save this guy, even going so far as to stand in between him and Hydra's guns just because Gemma cared about him, Fitz has to fight him and kill him. He was already dead, technically, but that's not really the point. The way they framed this was actually pretty gut-wrenching because Fitz was genuinely trying to be the most understanding person imaginable. Yeah, this was the guy who came between him and Gemma, the man that she had developed legit feelings for, who could end up taking her away from him, and Fitz was trying to do everything in his power to save the guy. Even after Gemma was saying no, that they shouldn't do it. No, it's too risky. Hydra's trying to open the portal too. We shouldn't do it. It's tearing me up, but we can't take that risk. But Fitz was like, no, I told you we're going to get him back, and that's what we're going to do. And he almost does it. He almost pulls it off. He's thinking, I'm doing the right thing. I swallowed all my feelings. I'm going to do this for Gemma because it's the right thing to do. And then it all goes horribly awry. And he's forced to put this bastard down in a way that will probably complicate things with him and Gemma even more. After he was trying to do this really altruistic act of love and all for her. Now, clearly, Fitz didn't have a choice in doing this. He did the only thing he could do. He couldn't let the guy get back to Earth, but the fallout is going to be pretty messy. Now, as for the reveal that Space Asshole had become Death, you guys know I was anticipating this a lot. I haven't exactly been subtle about it, but I put a ton of thought into how this might play out. The part I'm having trouble with is this. If the Space Asshole that we met in the flashback episode was not evil, if he was a regular, normal, good guy up until the Death Entity possessed him at the end of that episode, which is what they seem to want us to think, then there are a whole lot of things about this situation that simply do not add up. From the very beginning, there had been a lot of weird things and inconsistencies with Gemma's story, and there had been so many hints and so many signposts pointing to him being, if not outright evil the whole time, then at the very least having some kind of connection to the Death Entity, that it's really the only thing that makes any sense. And frankly, him being possessed by the entity the whole time, or at least serving it the whole time, unbeknownst to Gemma, would have explained almost everything. Why he lied to her about himself, why he wasn't aging, etc. Him being some kind of space monster from the very beginning was the simplest way to get all that stuff to make sense. I don't know how they're going to do it now. I'm sure there are ways, but no, I have to really think about that. If the writers are serious about him actually being a good guy the whole time Gemma knew him, then the story is kind of screwed up now. It just doesn't track. What were all those hints about? First and foremost, we know that it was the Death Entity that trapped Gemma in that cave where she met Space Asshole for the first time. We know she only met him because the Death Entity wanted her to. It clearly orchestrated their meeting. So why would it do that if there was no connection? Why would it do that if it was just going to kill Space Asshole as it's trying to get to Gemma later on? If it wanted to kill him or kill both of them, it could have done it then. And it doesn't explain why Space Asshole lied to Gemma about his entire background, pretty much. He was head of the astrophysics department, but he tells her he's not very sciencey? What the hell is that about? We saw the background check Fitz ran on this guy, which did not match up with the story he gave Gemma at all. So we know for a fact that he was lying to her about a lot of things. But if he was really a good guy, why would he do that? Unless he had something to hide. This development raises so many questions about this character that there absolutely has to be more story coming here. There has to be more information about him that they haven't revealed yet. Otherwise, This is just a mess of plot holes. So for now, I'm going to assume that there's more story coming here. The entity is on Earth now. It seems to retain the memories of the bodies that it possesses, so I would hope that through it, we're going to learn a lot more about what exactly happened on that planet. It would be a very simple thing to have the entity reveal that Space Asshole had actually been a Hydra agent serving it, who maybe developed feelings for the first woman he'd seen in 14 years that he didn't expect. That would account for most of the inconsistencies. So yeah, there has to be more information coming about that. But if there isn't, then this is going to be an issue for me later on, because it could leave a lot of things unexplained. Having said all that, did I jump out of my seat and cheer when Fitz immolated the motherfucker with the flare gun? You bet your candy ass I did. That was an incredibly cathartic moment for this particular Fitzsimmons fan. I'm very glad the love triangle is done now. There will be repercussions, I'm sure. And they got some interesting stuff out of it. But this was always a storyline that I kind of wished they hadn't done. So them wrapping it up fairly early on is something I'm very happy about. Now, how does the actual reveal itself rate? Well, I won't say I was terribly surprised about Space Asshole being the evil Inhuman. There were a lot of theories floating around, and that was one of them. So not really shocking in that sense. However, I was very surprised to find out that Space Asshole was supposedly a normal human up until Gemma's big escape. That part was shocking. I don't know how they're going to get it to make sense, but it was shocking. I was also quite stunned to learn that everyone is still assuming that he's a good guy the whole time, though again, I think the jury is still out on that score. But for me, without question, the absolute most shocking thing of all that happened in this mid-season finale, the entire team is safe and together at the end, and best of all, nobody died. The only ones who got killed were bad people and red shirts. I thought for sure I was going to get my heart ripped out by being forced to say goodbye to another character I'm attached to. Like when Mac ordered everyone back to the plane while he stayed behind to watch the portal. I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna kill Mac, aren't they? Please don't. You just killed Rosalind last week. Don't do this. But they didn't. They all made it out. Even Joey is okay. He's better than okay. He's fucking bulletproof. But not everyone was so lucky. We said goodbye to a major character in this episode. We said goodbye to Ward. Finally. I think it was a fitting end for him. It felt tragic and sad, but also it felt like it was the only way that it could have ended for Ward. You know, they'd explained him by this point. You understood why he turned out the way he did, so he's kind of wrapped up now. You know, this felt like good closure for that character. Also kind of felt like something that needed to happen. You know, Ward's choices had led him to this. He'd made his bed, and it was time to lie in it. You know, he'd had that coming for a long time, and at this point, I was very much looking forward to him being taken down. And with that twist at the end, Ward gets what he deserves, but we get to keep Brett Dalton around for a while longer. Sounds good to me. So the end result here is that the good guys win, but it feels like an empty victory. They get their people back, but all of Hydra's inhuman prisoners were murdered courtesy of Lash, and Simmons is going to be blaming herself for letting him out now. Fitz is safe, but the guy he wanted to save for Gemma is long gone, which is going to affect their relationship. And then Coulson finished off Ward, eliminating a major threat, but in a way that's probably going to haunt him, and gave the Death Entity a way to return after all. And the Entity is something that people were so terrified of that they banished it from the Earth. And since then it had turned that other planet into a desolate wasteland. And now it's back, all because Coulson turned his back on his ideals to take brutal revenge on his most hated enemy. You know, it makes for a really emotional final scene where everyone is together again. You know, all the ships get a little attention. Even the Felinda fans get a little something there. But then it sinks in that just because they technically won, that doesn't mean it's really a victory. So it's a happy, uplifting moment, but at the same time, it's also a very sad moment. It's some poignant stuff, actually. This was sort of a different. It was a different sort of finale for S.H.I.E.L.D. than I thought we'd get. More focused on bringing certain character threads to a head than on the action necessarily. It was surprising to me that the culmination of all these different plots that we've been following this season was essentially two fistfights. But between two sets of guys. But again, I think that worked because of the personal nature of the story and because of the stakes involved. I think, and the story developments that happen that are set in motion here are going to have some pretty drastic repercussions later. I think this episode did a really strong job of wrapping up a number of different story elements from the first half of the season, while opening up some new ones at the same time, like Lash being on the loose again, more bloodthirsty than ever thanks to Hydra's torture, what the fallout is going to be for Coulson and Fitz doing what they did, and Ward being the new host of the entity, and we still don't know exactly what that thing is. I have a couple theories. So there's a lot of balls in the air. A lot of stuff to pick up when the show comes back in March, so even though this was not the winter finale I was necessarily expecting, it was a very satisfying one. A very, very emotionally impactful one, so I thought this was a very good episode as well. So how about that? 3 mid-season finales, and they were all really good. It's like an early Christmas present. That's great. Okay. Twitter questions. At 18Zach. Space asshole, then Fitz gets back, everyone hugs, but then Simmons just looks at the pod, ignoring Fitz completely, then hugs him. No, that's not true exactly. Jeff Bell did an interview about this where he clarified that Simmons did not see Fitz at first. She went to the pod window looking for both of them or either of them, while Fitz was exiting to the side. She didn't see him. Yeah, she was looking in there hoping to see both of them. Then she saw none of them, and she thought, oh god, they're both gone. And she turns around, and that's when she sees Fitz. She didn't see him until that point. Yes, so she was not ignoring him. And then she's happy for a moment. It's like, oh, thank God you're alive. And it's, oh, you didn't bring back the other one? Oh, that makes me feel sad. So I'm happy you're alive, but I'm sad that he's not there too. That's how that worked out. Okay, let's see. Elsa Morty. Great season. I still miss those lighter moments. I hope they won't go in the all is gloom and doom department for 3B. I think I think it'll always have the lighter moments to a certain extent. It does feel that we're getting into really dark territory, though. I would expect more of that than the lighter moments for a while. See, overall, they're on another level. It's sad to see that there was never any hope for Ward as we've known him. He kept losing. Ward brought it up on himself, unfortunately, but I can't wait to see how that thing will be responding to his memories. Yeah, it's weird, so many people kept insisting that Ward was redeemable right up until that moment that Coulson crushed his chest. I don't see it. I mean, maybe there was a period in season 2 where he could have gone either way, but I don't see how a character does what he does and still gets redeemed. I mean, really, Ward didn't want to be redeemed. He said he had accepted what he is, and he was content with the choices he'd made. I mean, he even said he wasn't looking for redemption earlier this season. I mean, characters get redeemed when they want to be redeemed, and I never got the impression that Ward was interested in redemption. Let's see. I mean, yeah, I mean, Ward got what he deserved. He brought that on himself, absolutely. I am also really interested in what the entity is going to do in Ward's body. Because it seems to remember everything. It seems to retain the memories of the people it possessed. So if it remembers everything Ward does and everything Space Asshole remembered, it's gonna know how to hurt certain members of the team an awful lot. And specifically Coulson and Fitz, considering what happened on the planet. Coulson already knew how to really hurt Fitz. And now on top of that, he's going to have memories of Space Asshole and the whole relationship with Gemma. He's gonna have a lot of ammunition to use against Fitz, and I'm kind of nervous about that actually. Okay. I love how Coulson left the hand that killed Ward like he was leaving behind anything that could remind him of what he did. Yeah. Yeah, it's that was a sign that Coulson kind of knew he stepped over a line, and he knew he was going to probably come to regret this and think he made a mistake. He doesn't want any reminders of that. He's kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I just want to leave it behind me. But I don't think he's going to be able to do that. This is something that's going to stay with him. Fitz is giving me life this season. So bold, so strong, so fierce. He's the real hero in my book. Fitzsimmons for the win. Yeah, this has been a great season for him. Fitz is kind of a badass now. I mean, he's still the science nerd we met in the first season, but they've given him some really cool stuff to do. I continue to be impressed with how he always tries to do the right thing, regardless of how much it hurts, of how much he might want to do something else. I mean, there's not many people who would have reacted to Gemma's story of what happened on the planet the way he did. He immediately puts his feelings aside and tries to help her, even though it's probably ripping his heart out. Not many guys who do that. He didn't even allow himself to be angry with her. That's impressive. Let's see. On a different note, Skye is just stunning. Quake looks really good on her. Yeah, I've been liking her. I've been liking her this season. I will. In retrospect, I feel like she got overexposed a little bit in season 2. Not to a ridiculous degree, but like I said, they were focusing on her a lot. And I was kind of hoping at times that we could spend, give more attention to the other characters. But that was really Daisy's story in season 2. I think they've dialed her back a little bit this season and kind of focused on like the larger cast, like the larger ensemble. I think it's done her character a lot of good, and I'm really like her as Quake. She's done really well with that transition. How do you see 3B going? I keep thinking there might be a reason why they chose Ward to be the host of that thing. Instead of having Simmons' boyfriend, what does Ward have that the other didn't have except Brett Dalton? I think you just answered your own question. I guess the simplest answer is that Simmons' boyfriend was a guest star, and this way they get to keep Brett Dalton around. They get to push, they give him another color to play and push him even further down the path of villainy. But maybe it's not technically Ward anymore, but it's the audience has an attachment to Brett Dalton. And he can be kind of Ward-esque, remembering everything that Ward did. So it's just kind of pushing that character a step further, really. Let's see. Where do I see 3B going? Probably into some dark territory. We know Slingshot from the comics is going to be showing up, so she'll most likely be part of the Secret Warriors team. And well, if you're not familiar with the character from the comics, she gets injured in battle, gets her arms chopped off. If they were going to reintroduce the new, super big bad version of Ward to the team, that might be the way to do it. It's like, hey, we got this cool new Inhuman recruit for our Secret Warriors team. She's got super speed powers. She's a total badass. And hey, look, wait, oh my God, there's Ward. What's he doing? Isn't he dead? Why is he here? And then he does some kind of superpower shit, cuts Slingshot's arms off. Oh Christ, what the fuck are we gonna do now? That would be a way to do it. To show what a horrifying threat this guy's become. That would be a way to do it. I would not be surprised if they went in that direction at all. And like I said, if the entity remembers everything that Ward does, everything all its previous hosts remember, it's got a lot of stuff it can use against him. A lot of stuff it can use against the team. It'll know how to really hurt Coulson, how to really hurt Fitzsimmons, how to hurt Hunter and Bobby. Not just on a physical level, but on a psychological level, emotionally. It knows how to hurt May. And yeah, it's got all the ammunition it needs to make life really miserable for them. At Striffen19. So it looks like the Inhuman Hydra wanted might be a character named Hive. Yep. He is able to create those squid things that cause anyone to become part of a hive mind. This might be what it meant when it told Fitz that people on the planet could have been part of something great. It might also explain why the symbol for Hydra is the squid thing. This is true. This is true. I don't believe the Hive character was an Inhuman in the comics. This could be the Inhuman. Yeah, this could be the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of that character. In fact, I was prepared to talk about this. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. This is about the Hive character in the comics. Created in the Hydra laboratories in their home base, the Hive was an experiment made to physically embody the Hydra ideal. The entity is composed of untold members of genetically engineered parasites. An unknown and unwitting Hydra agent was fed to these parasites as a host, around which they could merge into a singular being. Grotesque and menacing in both stature and appearance, the Hive had no identity of its own, per se, as its collective will dominates the human host it engulfs. However, it possesses a quiet and cunning intelligence, and as a result of its conditioning, is completely dedicated to the Hydra cause, to the extent that Baron Strucker appointed it as a figurehead alongside himself, Viper, Gorgon, Kraken, and the new Madam Hydra in the form of a triple agent, and so on. But yeah, that kind of sounds like what this is. Other than it being an Inhuman now, that kind of sounds right. Other, at least aesthetically with the tentacles and stuff, that sounds right. The other theory was Maximus the Mad. That's kind of a stretch at this point, because as far as I know, Maximus couldn't. The tentacle thing is throwing me off, but. Maximus has genius-level intellect, mental powers granted by the mutagenic effects. He has the ability to induce short-term amnesia in others, and the ability to exchange his consciousness with others. Affect minds in a certain radius and only create one effect at a time. I guess Maximus the Mad would be a long shot, but yeah, Hive. I think that would be the most likely thing right now. If it's a character, if the entity is a character from the comics, we don't know for sure yet. But that would be what I'm leaning toward. Okay, Magpie, very good cliffhanger. Yeah, I like that a lot too. The Save Me one. I have to admit, the way Coulson was looking at Fitz and Simmons there, I thought he was the one that got taken over. Glad to see that wasn't the case. Yeah, I think the way that look him and Fitz exchanged was just, well, we won, but was it worth the price? And plus, I mean, they just went through something really horrifying together, so... Yeah, I thought that was just like an acknowledgement of, yeah, we're gonna pay a price for what happened over there. And, the others may not understand it. Profess 84, I wonder how they will bring Ward back, because I have a feeling that he is not really dead. Oh, I don't know. I think he looked pretty dead to me. I mean, Coulson caved in his chest. I would suspect that Ward is very much dead. There might be some traces of him left. We don't know how much of what he is now. We don't know how much of that is Ward and how much of that is the entity. I would suspect most of it is the entity. But yeah, I mean, there might be some traces of Ward in there. We don't know yet. Let's see. The Save Me one. I have seen where people have said that the Thing is Hive, an Inhuman that looks like Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean or Vilgax from Ben 10. And going by that statue, I think they're right. Yeah, the Hive thing lines up. It's not an Inhuman in the comics, but other than that, that really does seem like that's where they're headed. Zach Harris. Gotta say, I was a little disappointed when after Fitz and Coulson came back, all Fitz got was a hug. Not trying to say that Fitz and Simmons had to full-on French or anything, but still. I was satisfied with a hug. I mean, Simmons has been on kind of an emotional roller coaster lately, having very confusing and conflicted feelings for two guys. I think I was satisfied that she was just relieved that Fitz was alive, but at the same time, there's this other guy that she felt something for, and she just found out that he's gone. That wasn't really a shippy moment. That was just a relieved. Oh God, I'm so happy that at least that you came back. The other guy didn't come back, but my best friend is here, and I'm so happy that you're safe. Wasn't really a romantic moment. Could be interpreted that way, but that wasn't really the time for for kissing. Sean Simon, Mac called the Inhumans the Power Rangers. That was awesome. Yeah, I like that too. The Save Me one. S.H.I.E.L.D. went fan-shipping crazy with that ending. Bobby and Hunter, Sky and Lincoln, even a little bit of May and Coulson, but poor old Fitz is just Simmons' consolation prize, it would seem. No. No, he's not. No, Space Asshole was the consolation prize. And she only got with him because she thought she would never see Fitz again. This is... They could have made this a little bit clearer to the characters on the show. It was clear enough to me, though. If she had no intention of choosing Fitz over the other man, she would not have shown him the video on the phone. She basically said made the video saying how she fantasized about settling down with him in a cottage in Scotland and like settling down together and having a life with him. If she had not intended to choose him, she wouldn't have shown him that, because there'd be no point other than just being cruel. No, she wanted him to know. She wanted him to know how she felt about him, and maybe she hasn't completely worked out all these complicated feelings, but if she didn't intend to choose him, ultimately, she wouldn't have shown him that. It would just... There'd be no point other than just hurting him, and she wouldn't do that. Let's see. Magpie. He caved in his chest, so that's what happened. Yeah, you don't survive a thing like that. I think Ward is very much dead, and it seems to be the way the Death Entity works. It possesses the bodies of dead people and animates them. So I suspect Ward is like the Grant Ward we knew is very dead. Zach Harris. Coulson made a good call making Mack interim director. Of all people, he's the most well-balanced and sound-minded, even more so than Coulson at the moment. Exactly. That's why it works. Everyone else on the team is emotionally compromised in some way. Mack was the only one keeping a level head, therefore he was the perfect choice for the job. Zach Harris. If Lash did indeed kill those Inhumans after Gemma freed him, does that mean she kind of caused their deaths? Nah, no, she didn't cause them. I mean, what choice did she have? She could either let Lash out, or let the Hydra people capture her and maybe, kill her. I mean, she was out of choices at that point. That was just self-preservation. And Andrew said, "Look, I can protect you. I can help you. I can save you from these guys." What happened after that, that's on him. He chose to kill all those Inhumans. And I imagine Gemma will blame herself. I wouldn't say it's her fault. Jacob Walton, I agree with you from last week. I'd say that if Coulson was going to kill Ward, then he should have got left on the planet. Yeah, I would say leaving him on the planet alive would have felt unsatisfying. Just because after what Ward did, you kind of want to see him get finished off. But the old Coulson would have just left him there, or either would have brought him back to stand trial and go to prison. But, Season 3 Coulson is a little bit darker. Let's see. Zach Harris, I hope that Lash and Zombie Ward, or whatever he is now, run into each other and duke it out. That'd be awesome. I would suspect that's what they're building towards. Because they've got this ultimate Inhuman overlord that Hydra thinks is destined to rule all the Inhumans or whatever. And then they got the ultimate Inhuman hunter programmed to kill other Inhumans on an instinctual level. I would not be surprised if that's how the entity gets killed off. That's how they finish it off. They could be building up to maybe Andrew redeeming himself by turning into Lash and stopping the entity when all hope seems lost. I don't suspect Andrew would survive that encounter, but he might take the entity with him. I think that would be a cool way to redeem Andrew. Let's see. That gaming asshole. Dude, let it go about Will. There was no plot hole, there were no hints. People on the internet were just overanalyzing a stock character inserted into a love triangle. Or like he says he's not sciencey because he's humble and he doesn't think that he's that smart and doesn't age because they just decided they didn't want an old guy for Simmons' boyfriend. I disagree about a lot of this. There were many hints. Many of them. For starters, it was the entity who trapped Simmons in that cave. If you freeze the image and enhance, it was the entity in its astronaut form. That's what happened. More than just about anything else, that's what's fucking me up about this. Because if there was no connection between the entity and Will, then that does not make sense at all. It doesn't add up. There had to be a connection between them. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And him saying he wasn't very sciencey, it doesn't match up with his background. We got quotes from him in the background check. It sounds like it's a completely different guy. It sounds like it's a different character. The guy in the background check is not the guy we met on that planet. It's different. There are too many inconsistencies here. There has to be something else to it. Jacob Walton. At this point, I think Fitz needs to get over Simmons. It pisses me off. Pissed me off when she went to look for Will first, rather than the damn grateful Fitz. Rather than be damn grateful that Fitz came back at all. Again, she didn't see Fitz when he exited. He was exiting to the side, and she went to the window to look into the pod to see if either of them or both of them were there. She didn't see him when he was exiting. She didn't see Fitz until she turned around. That's what happened. Now, she wasn't ignoring him. Jeff Bell said this in an interview. Let's see. TGA, Will clearly wasn't the inhuman guy who presumably is Maximus the Mad, considering his powers are almost the same, except the parasite thing, but whatevs. I am not convinced. There's just too many things that don't add up about his story. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I need clarification about a lot of things. I will never understand the Fitzsimmons thing. I get Quake and Lincoln, I get Valinda. Fuck, I get Skyward. Seriously? You get Skyward, but not Fitzsimmons? To each their own, I guess, but Skyward? Seriously? Dude, that ship sunk before the first season ended. I mean, that hasn't been a thing in a long time, except in the minds of certain fans who can't let it go. Zach Harris. Ward took getting shot pretty well, probably because he was wearing protective gear or whatever, but still. Yeah, he took those gunshots like a pro. I don't think he was wearing body armor, because we saw some blood splatter when Coulson got him the second time. He looked like he barely felt that. Credit for guts. That guy is tough. See, Magpie. Where do you see Hydra going in the next season? Next season? I don't know. It kind of feels like we're building to a head here. We learned about, the origin of Hydra, the true origin. Now they've got their ultimate weapon, the thing that they've been trying to acquire for God knows how many centuries. It kind of feels like this is going to be like the ultimate stand for Hydra as Season 3. I would like it if they finally wrap that up this season and moved on to something else in Season 4, because I would like to see them explore other things. I'd like to see AIM at some point. Other stuff like the Serpent Society and stuff like that. And it feels like they've gotten a lot of mileage out of the Hydra thing. So I would like to see them explore other stuff. TGA, all we ever saw with Fitz and Simmons was at best brother and sister, and at worst a creepy brother who's lusting after his sister. I know you disagree, but that's just how I feel. If Fitz still can't get over Simmons after this, I'm writing him off as obsessed. Roy Palmer wasn't as weird about Felicity, for Christ's sake. At least he took no for an answer. Okay. Agree to disagree. One thing about this, Gemma has never said no. She never told Fitz no. There was a period where she didn't know, or where she was confused about what she was feeling, and didn't know which way she was going to go, but she never gave him a definitive no. Basically, she gave him an I don't know yet. And there was a period where she had to think about it for a while. After that, she started warming up to the idea a lot. If she was trying to tell him no, she wouldn't have kissed him back. You know, okay, he kissed her. If she was going to tell him no, she wouldn't have kissed him back. She wouldn't have shown him the video. No, she feels the same way he does. It's just there's a lot of complicated stuff. There are a lot of roadblocks that they need to get over because stuff happened to them that they need to work through. But she never told him no. The closest she ever got to no was saying that she hadn't thought about him in a romantic sense until he revealed his feelings to her, and now she's confused about what she thinks about him. That's as far as it went. Let's see. The Save Me One, Lash versus Hive will have a better build-up than anything happening at WrestleMania 32. You may very well be right about that. TGA, at any rate, just to push my theory about the inhuman villain being Maximus the Mad, allow me to quote his powers verbatim. He is able to control the emotions, beliefs, and feelings of others, instill madness from afar, and place buried commands into the minds of others and activate them later with a thought. Oh, really? Instill madness from afar. What did Will say happened to his crew, or how the race on Planet Death destroyed themselves all of a sudden? Oh, right, they went mad. Anywho, yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. for the win as usual, blows every other comic show out of the water. You do make a case for Maximus the Mad. I'm not ruling him out. I think just the possessing people and the tentacles thing doesn't sound like him, unless they made a lot of changes. I still think Hive is more likely, but I'm not crossing off Maximus the Mad just yet. Let's see, can't argue with that. Magpie, seeing Star Wars in a little over 5 days. Yeah, I really hope I can see that opening day. Getting really excited about that one. Okay. Magpie's Nest Productions. Maybe Simmons dies. Oh shit. I really doubt that. No, I whether you like them together or not, the whole Fitzsimmons thing has become very central to the show. They've become the big will they won't they couple, and they're not going to kill either of them before there's some kind of resolution with that. And even after there is, I highly doubt it's going to happen. Let's see. Hold on. TGA, when Phil put his hand on Ward's chest and looked longingly into his eyes, I heard this 90s boy band song playing in the PA system of my mind. When I look into your eyes, I see all I ever wanted, and it makes me realize when I look into your eyes, I see all my dreams come true. When I look into your... And then he caved in his chest cavity. Magpie, I see a Fred Illyria thing going on with Ward. Yeah? It's a very similar thing. I got that feeling myself. How it's the same actor, but the character died and has been taken over by something else. It's a very similar idea, really. Let's see. The Save Me One. Last season with Agent Carter, there were no superpowered people on the show. Do you think they should add some as villains in season 2? I believe that's what they're doing. Spoiler alert for Agent Carter. They're going to be using Madame Mask in season 2. So that's one superpowered person at least. Let's see. Magpie's Nest Productions. Got to finish the last season of Agent Carter. Got to finish last season of Carter. The Pit is gone. What? I've got to finish the last season of Carter. Okay. All right. Let's see. TKO Rising. Do you think Felicity is officially dead? If so, will they resurrect her using the Lazarus Pit? And also, are you looking forward to seeing X-Men Apocalypse trailer tomorrow? I don't believe Felicity is dead. I guess you're joining us late. No, I don't think she is. Not for a second. It all feels like misdirection to me. I think they're trying really hard to make it look like she's going to die. And that to me says that she's not going to die. Because that's not typically how this show operates and how these writers think. You know, if someone dies, they usually like it to be a surprise. And yeah, they foreshadow with the grave, but I think it's all misdirection. I don't think Felicity is going to die. If anything, I think they're going to try to make us think she's dead, but they're really going to fake her death. Or Oliver is. X-Men Apocalypse trailer tomorrow, huh? I did not hear about that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I saw the bootleg video of the trailer from Comic-Con from, months ago. I don't know if that was finished footage or not. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of people have been criticizing the way Apocalypse looks. I think that's going to be like a proto version of him. I don't think that's the final version of Apocalypse. I suspect his look may change throughout the movie. Yeah, Lazarus Pit is gone. Or that particular pit is gone, at least. There may be other ones, like there are in the comics. We don't know. Yeah, there are hundreds all over the world, according to the comics. Yeah, that may be where they're going. That may be how Malcolm plans to resurrect Vandal Savage. Let's see. Save Me One. Did you see the Ninja Turtles 2 trailer? I did, and it looks batshit insane. It looks like they're really... It feels like the original cartoon, to a large extent. It feels like truer to the spirit of the original cartoon than the first movie did. I'll see it. I'm not expecting a great movie. This is a Michael Bay production after all. But you know, I feel I have a lot of nostalgia feelings for the Turtles, so I'll see it. Looks like they might be going the Dimension X route, so maybe we'll see Krang this time. That would be really cool. There's Bebop and Rocksteady are in there. So it's probably going to be a completely fucking ridiculous movie. But who knows, it could be a fun time. Looks like they're going the late 80s cartoon style. Yeah. I would prefer it if they went in the style of the series revival from, I think, the early 2000s. That one was surprisingly good. But yeah, they're going. Looks like they're going late 80s, the late 80s route, and well, looks like they're trying to be more faithful to it than the first movie was. Magpie's Nest Productions. Whedon shows. What did they do to big ships? Kill them. Yeah, but that's a Joss Whedon show. This is a Jed Whedon, Marissa Tancheron show. Whedon does not really have that much involvement. He helped get the show off the ground, but mainly this is Jed and Marissa's baby, while Joss is doing other stuff. Yeah, so they certainly have more control over the show than Joss does. And also remember, this is ABC and Disney, and Joss never had a show on that network before. So they might not want things to get too dark. Let's see. The Gaming Asshole. NT Dubs. Maximus can only control one person at a time, but he can place commands in multiple people and trigger them at will. Like human time bombs, hundreds or thousands of them. Okay. That would make him a threat. that would want people would want him banished for, I guess. Let's see. Magpie's Nest Productions. When will you do a Jessica Jones show? You know what? Probably next week. Okay, all the shows have wrapped for the winter. So I'll have free time. If you guys want to talk about Jessica Jones next Thursday, we can do that. Be nice to get it to get that done while the show is still fresh in people's minds. So yeah, I think next Thursday, 10 p.m. we'll talk about Jessica Jones. How's that? Okay. Sean Simon, have you seen the new show on AMC, Into the Badlands? No, I have not. Meant to say BT does. No, honestly, I don't watch that much TV right now. I've been kind of shifting over to watching most of the stuff online, and but still, I don't watch as much as I used to. I actually kind of have trouble keeping up with the shows that I actually like and watch on a regular basis. I'm still behind on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I got to catch up on the Muppets, and just about the only shows that I watch week to week are the ones that I review for this. So yeah, all the other shows I keep saying, I'll watch it, I'll binge watch it when there's enough episodes built up. I keep telling myself I'll get around to it, but it's tough, Let's see. NJ, you are complimenting the newer Ninja Turtles? No, the 1990s Turtles look a lot better. The new ones look like they have been to the gym too long or been on an odd diet. No, not the newest version of the Turtles, not the CG animated cartoon. I haven't seen that one. I'm talking about, I think it was the version that came out in the early 2000s. That one I liked a lot. It was still cartoony and silly, but it was also taking itself a little bit more seriously than the 1980s, 1990s version was. Okay. Magpie is a big Jessica Jones fan. All right. NJ, if you are out of shows for a while, rewatch Gotham Season 2 and review each episode of that. I don't want to. I'm sorry. Season 1 of Gotham was so bad. It left me with no desire to follow the show anymore. I hear that it's gotten better in Season 2. Congratulations. You know what? Gotham could turn into the best show on television, and I probably wouldn't care at this point. I don't want to revisit it. It was such a painful experience to review in Season 1. I've divorced myself from Gotham, and I kind of want it to stay that way. Maybe I'll check out an episode or two over the hiatus to see what's going on now. Maybe. Will I review it again? Probably not. I just don't... TGA, it's gotten so much better. Holy shit, has it? Okay. So that's 2 votes in favor of me checking out Gotham again because it's apparently gotten a lot better. Maybe the loss of Fish Mooney and embracing Barbara as a villain has done the show some good. Who knows? Have you seen Turtles Forever? Which one was that? I don't know. I saw the original cartoon and the remake in the early 2000s, and I saw the movies. Turtles Forever. Which one was that? I don't know. What are the hopes for TLC from Magpie? Honestly, I don't have any. I have no hopes for WWE right now. Their show is so boring to me. I'm not expecting anything. I'm really not. My hope for TLC is that I don't fall asleep while watching it. That's about all I can give you. NJ, bring on Game of Thrones. I am pumped, so excited for that. Yeah, we got a teaser. Got a little teaser trailer for it. Don't know when it comes back. It's still a couple months away. But yeah, I don't think they're trying to hide the fact that Jon Snow is coming back anymore. They're definitely. I've been cutting off the top of my head this whole time. Wow. Yeah, they're kind of pushing that Jon Snow's coming back, so I'm happy about that. Looking forward to Thrones, the return of next season of Thrones. I had a few issues with last season. I don't think it was their strongest season overall. Had a couple issues. But yeah, that's another one I watch week to week. Looking forward to that. I know it's not a comic, but there could be a Family Guy movie next year. Really? Family Guy movie? Wow. Hadn't heard about that. I think that might mean more if it had come out a few years earlier. Just like the Simpsons movie would have meant more if it had come out about 10 years earlier. But Family Guy movie? Wow. I'll see that. It sounds cool. Save Me One. Turtles Forever is a cartoon movie where the 80s team and the 2000s team work together. Oh, right. You know, I haven't seen that, but I saw the Nostalgia Critics review of it. And I liked his review. That's all I can say. Have you caught up with the books? No. Haven't caught up with the Game of Thrones books. I keep meaning to. Those books are hard to get through, man. They really are. It's on my list of things to do. I'm gonna try to start. I'm gonna try to get through at least some of Feast for Crows before the new season starts. As much as I can tell you right now. Zach Harris, WWE's unofficial slogan: "We don't give a damn what you people want because you fools will still watch anyway." Well, less and less people are watching. So I don't know how long they'll be able to say that. Because clearly a lot of them are not watching anymore. Sean Simon, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm disappointed that the big bad turned out to be a leech with godlike powers. It's been done to death from anime to cartoons to TV shows to movies thousands of times. Hundreds of times. Really? A leech with godlike powers has been done hundreds of times? Well, we don't really know if that's its final form. That's a piece of it. Alright, yeah. I would argue that we only have pieces of what that thing actually is. We don't have the complete picture. But okay. Yeah, it wasn't going to be for everyone. I'm still waiting to see the final form. I'm still waiting to see the final form before I judge it, though. Let's see. NJ, someone pointed out that Raw will stand for Roman always wins in 2016. Oh boy, really? Roman always wins. Well, if they're booking him as the next John Cena, that'll probably be pretty accurate. Alright, I'll give it another minute or two. I think that's everything. But yeah, that'll do it for our winter finale review episode. And I guess next week, if you guys want to come back, we can talk about Jessica Jones. Because I have some things to say about that, and I don't think we'll all agree on Jessica Jones, actually. Because honestly, I have a few issues with that show. You know, it's a very good show, but there were some things about it that bugged me. We can get into that next week. Team Cap or Team Iron Man? You know what? If we're talking about Civil War, in terms of the comics, I was Team Cap. Just because of the way they framed everything. Having a Team Iron Man kind of acting like fascists. The thing is, if I was living in that universe, if I had powers, I would be on Team Cap, because registration sounds like an awful idea that would completely blow up in their faces. And why would I want to register myself with the government when I know that information could be used against me so easily? And then it turns out it was used against them easily because they put Norman Osborn in charge of everything. If I was a civilian in that universe, I would be Team Cap. Team Iron Man, rather. Because having all people with superhuman abilities to register with the government so they can be monitored and policed, it sounds like a really responsible thing to do. If it could be used responsibly. This being the Marvel Universe, it would not be used responsibly. So therefore, I'm on Team Cap. Next week will be Gotham. No! NJ, next week will be Jessica Jones. A good show. Christ. You're going to keep pestering me about this until I watch season 2 of Gotham, aren't you? Oh, boy. See, there's TKO Rising. There's leaked photos online of X-Men Apocalypse featuring Angel, Storm, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, and Apocalypse in his final form. Okay, I can look for those. I think I saw the Apocalypse one, actually. Yeah, I'd have to hunt that down. Alright, check Twitter. 1 second. Delete that. Okay. Yep, there's the Turtles. Back when they were all in rubber suits. I remember those movies. The first one was actually pretty dark. And they got more campy later on, but yeah, that first one was really surprising for a movie based on a kids show. It's like, wow, there's some pretty violent stuff happening here when I saw that the first time. That was surprising to me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that will do it. Okay. So, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. I had a lot of fun with 3A, or 3A, 4A, 2A. Oh boy. Yeah, the first TMNT was based on the comic. Yeah, the original Ninja Turtles comics were pretty dark and gritty too. I actually have a couple of volumes of the original Ninja Turtles comic. Not back there. I have them somewhere. Maybe in the closet. I don't know where they are. But yeah, I have some of those. I think the 2000s comic cartoon reboot took a lot of pages from that one too, from the original comics too. I think that's why I like that one so much. But yeah, I got a big soft spot for the Turtles. I'll always like the Turtles, so I'll see the new movie. And that'll be it for the night. Thanks everybody for tuning in to this winter finale episode of the Comic Show Post Show. Next week will be Jessica Jones. I promised you guys I would talk about it. I will talk about it next Thursday. And after that'll be it for a couple of weeks after that one. And then we've got Legends of Tomorrow and Agent Carter starting up. And then, wow, I guess I'll be doing 4 shows a week for a while again. Oh, that's going to be hard. So I actually spend longer spend more time preparing for these shows every week than you might think. So that may have to change somewhat. But yeah, Jessica Jones next week. Tune in for that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me tonight, everybody. So until next time, over, out. Talk to you next week. Merry Christmas.